Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Dream Ignite Build. I am your host, Genesis Hay Crick, and thank you so much for tuning in today. We are going to be diving into a topic that can quite literally make or break your business, your workflow. Now, before you turn out thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so boring. I don't want to be talking about software. I don't want to be talking about things behind the scenes or how things flow. I want you to just hear me out. This isn't about rigid systems that suck the fun out of your work. This is about creating a workflow that actually fits your life, your personality, and your energy levels. So, let's be real here. If your systems don't work for you, they're not going to work for your family, they're not going to work for your clients, and they're not going to work for anything that you do. So, let's talk about the 3 ways that you can create a customized workflow that helps you work smarter, not harder. So, number 1 is to design your workflow around your energy, not around the clock. Most people try to force themselves into basically a productivity box. Like, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. or I should be working 8 hours straight. But if we really hone in on what is essential and what is necessary, and what we think about in terms of how we're all different, we all have different energy patterns. Maybe you're a morning person, or maybe your best ideas come after 10 p.m., after the kids are in bed. But what we can do is, instead of focusing on like a generic schedule, we can track our energy levels for a few days. And this is something that I'm consistently doing. Even after tracking it for an extended period of time, I'm still checking in with myself to say, am I on track? Am I staying consistent? Is this normal for me based on the things that I'm putting into place? And what starts to happen is, when you track your energy, you will understand when you feel more creative. You'll also understand when you are able to focus the most, when you're in that deep workspace, and then also when you need breaks. And when you understand that about yourself, you can build out the ideal workflow. So for me, I know that if I try to do too much deep strategy work, and for example, the afternoon between like 1 and 3, that's when I get really exhausted, because I just know that that's not ideal for me. So what I do is block out my mornings, and I save lighter tasks like answering emails or checking in with my team for the afternoon. It just makes a lot more sense for me. So I encourage you to track for yourself what works for you. The second thing is to automate what drains you. So personalize what lights you up. I just love the concept of this, because we want to do what essentially helps us to feel excited and ready to roll. Not every part of your workflow should be manual. So what we can do is spend our whole day buried in busy work instead of actually growing our business. We don't want that, right? So look at the tasks that are repetitive or potentially draining for you, and maybe it's something such as scheduling your appointments, or responding to frequently asked questions, or onboarding new clients. We can automate these. We can automate any of that. There's some really great scheduling tools, some really great canned responses, or even simple onboarding systems that can run on their own. But then personalize the things that matter. So if you love connecting with your clients like I do, don't automate those touch points. Maybe instead of sending a generic email, you could send a quick personalized voice message, or you could even just recognize that there's different aspects of your team that can be incorporated in this process. Social media might be your jam, or the thing that you absolutely love. So scheduling the basic posts, but staying engaged in the comments and DMs. Those are those high touch points that I spend a lot of time in personally. So your workflow should free you up to spend more time on the parts of the business that you actually love and the parts that bring you joy. And the third aspect of this that I want to recommend you to do is to make it flexible, because life happens. Look, plans are great, but there are things that come up, and especially if you're juggling business, family, and everything in between, your workflow needs to be adaptable. So I always say, like, whenever I'm working with my clients, flexibility is key. And instead of having it be super duper rigid and hour by hour, think of your workflow as like buckets of priorities. What's essential today? What are my non negotiables today? What needs to get done today? And what can wait if needed? There's a whole podcast that I do on this and how to really recognize what needs to be done when. But if we really identify the workflow aspects that are essential in the here and the now, that's going to simplify everything for us. If I have a day where everything gets completely out of control, maybe I have like a kid that gets sick or I have back-to-back meetings, I know what absolutely has to get done and what can shift towards tomorrow. That way I don't feel like I'm constantly playing catch up. And so that's why having those non-negotiables organized and in alignment is going to help you to feel so much more at peace inside, knowing that, you know what, all of these other things that I was planning on doing are okay to be put at the end of the week or next week or even next month. And if you're working with a team, build in buffer time. Don't make your workflow so tight that one delay throws everything into chaos. I learned the hard way with this where I was back to back to back with meetings, back to back with client calls, and I only had like a 5-minute buffer. So now I give myself at least 15 minutes to clear my mind, clear my space, and reorganize and reprocess. So my final thoughts are on this are the best workflow is the one that makes your life easier, not harder. So pay attention to your energy and automate the stuff that drains you. Leave room for flexibility because life is never perfectly planned. There's always going to be things that come up. So many of the time there's distractions, and that's okay because that's life. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear the changes that you're making in your workflow and what's making a huge difference. Take me on social media and let me know what your wins are. All right, that's it for today, and I hope that you tune in until next week. And in the meantime, keep building your business in a way that works for you.